Welcome, everybody, to the WMMA Math Podcast here on WombatSports.com. I am Mark with the Q. I am your host. A lot to get to this week as it's crazy. We got last weekend's fights. We've got this weekend's fights coming up, and all the craziness that'll be happening everywhere in between. First of all, I want to say that our condolences to Katie Collins' friends and family. We have posted an article about her passing on the website. It's sad to have seen her pass. She was a really great fighter. I had very little opportunity. I think I've done a couple of actual, written interviews, but I have never had the opportunity to have a chance to talk to her. But I followed her career since her amateur days in Branson, Missouri. It's kind of sad to see her go at such a young age due to a brain aneurysm. And if there's any silver lining to this, is the fact that her organs were donated to several people that needed it to survive. So her heart and her lungs are in a very good place, so she lives on in other people. So, and if you go to WombatSports.com, check out the article and please donate. They are looking for medical expenses as well as to start a education fund for her son, so please do so. This past weekend, it was Invicta over in Kansas City, and they announced that the next card will be in Kansas City, so we won't have probably a Las Vegas card until early next year. Hopefully that'll be the card with Ashley Cummings versus Jin Frey 2. That got postponed because of an injury by Jin, so that'll be postponed until the first card of the new year. But the main event ended up being Pearl Gonzalez, who looked absolutely great against Brogan Walker Sanchez by unanimous decision. Really brings some interesting things going into the flyweight division. Brogan Walker Sanchez had a win over current Phoenix Rising champion Miranda Maverick. And so things are kind of a little bit interesting because Pearl lost to the current champion. Karina Rodriguez will be facing Porto next. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what kind of plays out in the flyweight division coming into 2020. Quite a few people are in line to be able to face the winner of Karina Rodriguez versus Vanessa Porto coming up in November. Now, the rest of the card was very, very interesting. Let me pull it up for you. Kay Hansen looked great over Nicole Cagliari. He won by submission in round 3. Very unfortunate incident that happened with our guest a couple weeks ago, Shino Van Hoest. She lost to Lindsay Van Zandt. Lindsay had actually hit her in the knee a couple of times, and Shino was unable to continue after that. We're still waiting on an update to see what's going on with Shino's knee, and we hope that she recovers quickly after that injury. Another one of our guests, Linda Mahalik, defeated Melissa Mishir-Belicia by unanimous decision. Linda looked absolutely great. She was really bloody at the end of the fight due to an accidental headbutt, but Linda looked absolutely great too. It was a really back and forth fight between those two fights, and both people. I think it won fight of the night. So congratulations to Linda on her win as well. The other two fights, Hope Chase defeated Megan Colley by submission, and Claire Johnson defeated Jordan Case in the opening fight by submission. We do have some breaking news over in Invicta that just came across our desk. The full card for InvictaFC 38 on November 1st has been released. Quite a few familiar names to people on that card as well. Of course, the main event is Vanessa Porto versus Karina Rodriguez, like we said earlier. Kanato Murata versus Emily Ducote for the strawweight championship is the co-main event, which has already been announced. But 5 more bouts have been announced. Fan favorite Mallory Martin will be returning against Cynthia Arceo in a strawweight bout. Shanna the She Animal Young will be taking on Phoenix Series veteran Maiju Sotoma which will be interesting. Maiju looked absolutely great. A lot of people think that she won her first round match, including myself. So it'll be interesting to see how Maiju kind of recovers from that as well. Lisa Veroza will face Carrie Kennison. Shiana Racone, who a lot of people like at bantamweight, will be facing an opponent to be announced. And in the opening bout, a prospect that everybody, including myself, was really excited to be able to see on the Invicta stage. Finally, Serena de Jesus will be facing Tanisha Tennant in both of their promotional debuts, and I'll be kicking off the card on November 1st in Kansas City, Missouri. Over in Bellator, this past weekend, Carrie Melendez picks up her 4th straight win and remains undefeated with a decision win over Mandy Poke. Now let's kind of go what's going on this weekend, because we've got a lot to discuss. We will talk about UFC and PFL coming up a little bit later with our guest, Chelsea Rae, who also has a fight over at Tuff-n-uff, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So quite a few things going on there, but over here in the States, Combates is going to be happening. Paula Ramirez versus Marilla Fanta, and Lucero Acosta versus Valerie Quintero are going to happen, and that's going to be on, as far as I know, that's going to be on YouTube and Facebook. For right now, they're kind of working on a new contract for their television rights. If you guys do have Univision Deportes, they will also be doing that, and it'll be the Spanish commentary. So if you guys want to watch it on television, you can do it there. Overseas, it's going to be kind of interesting because we're waiting on there's a tropical storm right now. I think it might be a typhoon, if I remember correctly, what they call a hurricane in the Pacific, I believe. That's kind of raging off the coast of Japan. This could affect 2 of the events that are going on this weekend. Technically 3, because one championship will have two fight cards that weekend. But if they were to happen, here's what's going on over in Japan this weekend. Angeli and Jinan Yang will be Jinan Jiang will be facing each other in a rematch for the championship. It's going to be really great to be able to see those two fight again as well. On that same card, Muay Thai, Janet Todd versus Elektrina Valenderayeva. I'm hoping I'm spelling that correctly. I'm probably not. That'll be on the first night. That'll be on Friday. And then Saturday, Mei Yamaguchi will be facing Jinny Hung on Saturday. That is if the card ends up continuing. Like I said, we're kind of waiting on the storm to figure out where the storm is heading. Also in Japan, Rizin's this weekend. Mayu Yamamoto versus Yohei Ham is going to be happening. The winner of that will most likely face Ayama Hamasaki during the New Year's card for the championship. I'm really interested in this fight. People have been saying that not to estimate Mayu Yamamoto. She has improved so much during her time. Her striking's gotten a lot better. Obviously a world-class wrestler, so it'll be interesting to see how she goes with this fight. And like I said, Ham is just an absolute destroyer. I'd love to see her rematch Ayaka. They're both on a different level right now, so it'll just be interesting to see who will get the shot at current champion Ayaka Hamasaki. Also on the card, Reina Kuboto will be facing last-minute replacement Alexandra Alvarez. Alexandra Alvarez is 0-3, so yeah, we don't suspect that Reina's going to have any problems with Alexandra, but we'll take a look and see what kind of happens there. It's basically a showcase by Serena, and to try to hopefully get her in a solid fight coming up for New Year's Eve. So we'll kind of keep you posted on what's going on with the storm that's currently heading out on the Pacific Coast. If you guys follow us on Twitter at WMA News, I will have it up there a little bit more quickly than I'll have it over at Wombat. So and we're still kind of backlog in terms of results. We apologize for that. Time is just, it's going to take a lot of time to get things caught up back on the website. So please bear with us. Once I get a couple of days just to freaking do it, I will. But I'm kind of trying to play catch up a little bit in terms of a lot of things in my personal life. So guys, just bear with me. Anyway, so with that being said, our guest is here over the phone. She is a very talented individual, and she's going to be fighting at Tuff-n-uff. And here we go with Chelsea Rae. Well, Tuff-n-uff is just going on this weekend, and my co-host, my co-host off and on, is going to be fighting on the card, and she's going to be facing Anastasia Rags. I'm hoping I am actually pronouncing her name correctly. Over at the Green Valley Ranch here in Las Vegas, I will be live, cage side watching this as well, and I'll hopefully be over at the weigh-ins depending on how timing ends up being. But my guest right now is Chelsea Rae. How you doing, Chelsea?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Last time we were talking, you're kind of in the middle of a camp, but we're just kind of waiting on an opponent. We finally got an opponent for you, and how has the cut been going, and how has the prep's been going for this fight?
Cut's going great. Walking around nice and light, so shouldn't be a problem. All the hard work's done. We're just getting the rest of the weight off and getting ready to go have some fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy night for Jessie, just because, besides the fact that I believe she's still cornering you, right?
Yes.
She has a bunch of the fighters from the Wimp Warriors that are going to be competing that night as well. So she's going to be pretty busy woman that night as well. So it'll be interesting to see how everything kind of goes with her as well. I mean, and she's been off doing some training sessions and all that with other people as well. I mean, how's it been? With going through camp with Jess and some of your other coaches and kind of getting prepped for this fight.
Well, I'll be busy that night as well. I'm a co-coach for that event, so I'll be courting some of those people as well, and then going back to get ready for my own bout. But Jessie does a really good job of balancing a lot of hats at the same time. She always has. She's very talented, so she always has a lot of work to do, and I think she likes it that way. But yeah, it's good. She's always good about giving homework and checking in and things like that if she has to be in camp herself or be on the road. So it's not really been a problem. I think every camp we've done together, there's been some travel and stuff involved for one or both of us. Like earlier in the year, we went to Australia together for a jiu-jitsu camp put on by Australian girls in gi. And I was in the midst of my training camp. I was like 4 weeks out from a fight, and we just made sure to train out there. So, you just do what you have to do to get ready.
Well, you said you were a co-coach, helping out Jess during the Wimp to Warrior process. I mean, how's that been for you to see these normal individuals that signed up to take part of this program just to be able to become fighters and try to test their skills? And how's it been for you to kind of watch these people develop and now kind of making that step to actually finishing their goal and to be part of a fight?
Yeah, I love coaching. So to get a chance to get my feet a little bit more wet with this go around was really cool. And you see these folks come in and they really don't know what they're getting themselves into. They have an idea of what they signed up for, but they really aren't sure. And I had a chance to kind of reflect with them recently and say, hey, how is this different from what your thought process was going into it? And they were like, oh my gosh, it's so much harder mentally than I expected. And they talked about how you're sore and you're hurt, or maybe like this one girl's had a couple broken toes the majority of the season, and they just didn't expect to get injured like that, and what kind of toll that takes on your mind when you get fatigued. They just didn't know what went into it. So all to say, though, it's been amazing to watch them go from kind of an everyday person, maybe somebody that didn't really believe in themselves in general, maybe didn't really care about their eating habits or things like that, change into this athlete who does care, who now believes that they can take on the world. It's just a fantastic thing to watch happen.
Not to mention the fact that they're in better shape, they've lost a lot of weight during this process, and they've really kind of changed themselves through this process. So it's going to be kind of interesting. It's one thing to be able to train for a fight, but you know this obviously that going into